Morning, it's 9:30. We'll call the March 5th meeting to order. We good? Start with a moment of silence followed by the pledge, please. Thank you. Five.
Flag, United States, republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Public comment on agenda items only. Seeing none, we'll move on. Oh, please.
Statement I want to read. I cut this down to 3 pages. I had 10
Is
to
this for,
personnel agenda,
that's,
not listed on the salary.
okay.
So I think this is the appropriate time because it seems like you've made your decisions without letting me know one way or another if the proposals that I put forth were approved or denied. And I'd be remiss to say that for 20 years, I drove to work on the phone with my wife. One thing a lawyer hates more than anything is when another lawyer calls them out with their own words. Well, my wife did it to me this morning. As many of you know, I have a 16-year-old daughter who's very active in sports, very good at sports. And I always tell her to achieve more, do better, never become complacent, never settle for anything. Work hard to get where you are because I worked hard to get where I am. My wife said that to me this morning. I cried all the way to work. I'm crying now already before I even get to the first words of my statement. And it just grew with me because I am sorry that it's come to this. So the last few months I have cried as much as I have slept. And last night was absolutely no different. My night was filled with anger, sadness, fear, and joy to some degree. Not because I had just been taking the last 3 weeks to prepare for a homicide trial that had actually pled, thankfully, but because I know my career as a PD in the Monroe County office may be coming to an end earlier than I had anticipated or planned. I worked against the odds to become the Chief Public Defender of Monroe County. I grew up in a blue-collar family from Bangor. I went to school in one of the poorest school districts in Pennsylvania. My father, after serving overseas in Vietnam for 4 years, he spent the remainder of his career as a postal worker, and my grandfather was a steel worker at Bethlehem Steel. No one expected me to amount to much more of a lower-class athlete from Bangor, least of all that I would become a lawyer. My parents never graduated from college. I wasn't handed a silver spoon. I lived in a lower middle-class home. Wasn't luxurious to me. I never realized it until I grew up and was able to provide more for my children than my parents were for me. And I'm happy to say that my parents now live with me as I brought them into my home to make sure that they're healthy and good. I am truly a first-generation college graduate and a first-generation law school graduate. None of my parents went to college. None of my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, or even my older sister attended college. Growing up with nothing, I always knew I wanted to dedicate my career to defending those who could not defend themselves. One could say I was born to be a PD. I know I can be confrontational and unfiltered at times. Mr. Mancuso found out yesterday when I was under extreme stress. But it's because I care about my job so deeply, and none of it had ever been handed to me or promised to me. As I transitioned out of law school, I believe it was fate that Monroe County actually found me. I will never forget the phone call from Wes Niemashinsky the very same day that I interviewed as Chief Public Defender. It came from an unknown number. At that time, I had been searching, and my friends knew I was searching for a public defender job. And I truly, truly believed it was one of my friends pranking me. My first words to what would eventually be my new boss were, "Is Judge Zulik here?"
Yeah.
Just wanted him to close his ears. Stop fucking around with me, Ryan, who was my best friend. I only interviewed today. No one would hire me the same day when 20 other individuals were there to interview. Thankfully, he still hired me. So when I started back in 2006 in a rather small cubby, barely big enough to stretch my legs, I was home. I gathered in a room no larger than this with 5 of my colleagues. We had no doors, we had no windows. We were in the basement of a quarter-century-old courthouse connected to a century-old basement. It stank of mold. I still loved it. I ate at a conference table, which served as my lunch table. That still actually holds true today. The district attorney's office had a conference room, offices with windows, more support staff, more resources, but truly and honestly, I did not care. I always rooted for the underdog. I was at home in the Monroe County Public Defender's Office. I was ready to begin my life as a PD, knowing full well that I wasn't going to get rich. Hell, I wasn't even sure that I could pay the bills with my wife because I was hired for $36,000 with a law degree. But I had the passion for the job that I have still today. I come to work not to earn money, but because I believe in our criminal justice system and the Constitution. I want to continue to stand for the ideals that made me. Some would say I represent the forsaken, the outcast, the downtrodden, those who have been thrown away by many of society. To me, they are my equals. They are humans, and I want to represent them the best to my ability. I have done so for 20 years. And in those 20 years, I have seen this county treat PDs as less than the district attorneys repeatedly. In order to cut this down to 3 pages, I had to basically get rid of 15 years of my career. But most recently in 2020, I watched the district attorney's office renovate a new floor at 701, complete with a kitchen, multiple conference rooms, new furniture, and enough space for each attorney to have their own office. The public defender office was given half of the floor space, barely enough offices to actually fit every attorney. And I was mistaken. We actually have 4 different color rugs, 10-year-old desks for the staff. But again, this office was still my home, so I carried on. I watched as the district attorney moved into the hall across from our offices, despite my request to accommodate my staff into that space. In fact, today I have attorneys back in cubicles, and I have 4 attorneys sharing 2 offices, despite my requests for more space. At this point, I consider it par for the course, acceptable or not. At the time, our office, when this occurred, was led by an individual who was no longer inspired that much as I was. He had given up hope. Most of the attorneys in the office similarly didn't share the same passion and love I had always had for my job. All to say, in 2021, I was very reluctant to take the position of chief public defender. I knew I would be under more stress than ever before as I fought against the grain to create an office I was once again happy to call home. It was a battle to find attorneys and staff who shared my vision for my office. COVID made things extremely difficult. I couldn't fire underperforming attorneys because finding an attorney at the time was near impossible and extremely difficult. I had to slowly transition the staff and attorneys to where we are today. A team of strong and dedicated lawyers who sit beside me today against my wishes, unknowing what they're going to say or about to say. Who share the vision and passion and will stand up for the underappreciated and neglected persons considered at the margins of our great society that we have. I am happy to still call the Monroe County Public Defender's Office home, and truly right now at this time consider our office the best public defender office in the state. It has been an honor and privilege to call them colleagues and my only hope is that they can say the same of working with me. But with every battle comes great sacrifice. It comes with great sadness that your decision today leaves me with no other option than to strongly consider moving on. Much as I have my entire career, I charge into this fight fearless, defending those this country has underappreciated and left behind far too long, unaware of my consequences or my future, to gain the respect not for myself or of you, but to harness the power of those who already respect them.
Thank you.
We would additionally have a public comment, if you will, Commissioners, against Attorney LeVar's wishes. We have prepared a statement on behalf of all the union members of the Public Defender's Office that we would like to read to you. We, as current members of the Monroe County Public Defender's Office, write in support of our Chief, Jason LeVar, Esquire, and join his position regarding the proposed salary grid. A vast majority of us were hired under Jason's leadership and came from other counties, even other states, because we saw and respected the vision that Jason had for this office. Jason believed that Monroe County could have an office filled with true believers in public defense. Those who are committed to the principle of providing strong legal representation to all individuals, regardless of their socioeconomic class, and to actively fight for the rights of the accused. Under Jason's leadership, the Monroe County Public Defender's Office has received statewide recognition for our leadership in bail and probation reform litigation, and 3 attorneys, actually the 3 of us that are here, have been recognized by the Pennsylvania Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers as emerging leaders in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. But being an attorney employee here is no walk in the park. Monroe County is markedly different from its neighboring counties in the sheer number of trials it has per year. In 2023, Monroe County had double to quadruple the amount of jury trials as our neighboring counties in the same calendar year. While Monroe County had 34 jury trials in 2023, Northampton had 17 jury trials, Pike County had 9 jury trials, and Carbon County had 5 jury trials. Even adjusting for size, Monroe County leads its class in the number of trials, including non-jury trials, per annum in 2022 and 2023. AOPC has not published updated data for 2024, but it is likely that Monroe County's jury trial numbers have surged due to the institution of the grueling biweekly trial term. Even a conservative estimate of Jason's trials alone in 2024 put him over the yearly total of some of our neighboring counties. Despite his status as Chief Public Defender and all the administrative duties his position entails, Jason has purposely retained a full caseload and represents clients from preliminary hearing to trial at all levels of offense severity. Eric Kloss did the same thing when he served as Deputy Chief. The salary board's proposed grid does not compensate our management commensurate with this level of jury trial experience. For example, Northampton's part-time Deputy Chief, Janet Jackson, makes a base pay of $72,109.23. This is the salary board's proposed starting salary for a full-time deputy chief in Monroe County, for which the attorney must have a minimum of 10 years criminal litigation, trial litigation experience, and be certified to try death penalty cases. This is also less than the starting salary of an assistant public defender in Monroe County. The deputy chief proposed salary is simply not a competitive salary for the local area. Additionally, although Archer sets out to assess the current state of the labor market, it does not control for a labor market in a society which historically disadvantaged public defender offices and falls short in meeting its constitutional obligations. Indigent defense systems across Pennsylvania have been chronically under-resourced for decades. In 2024, Pennsylvania approved for the first time in its history a budget allocation that funds public indigent defense. Prior to this modest $10 million allocation, Pennsylvania was one of just 2 states to invest $0 in public defense to help meet the needs of public defenders and the poor defendants who rely on us. While this is a move in the right direction, this does not begin to cure the resource disparity which plagues the criminal legal system, both statewide and in Monroe County, to the palpable disadvantage of public defender offices. This disadvantage is predicated on a widely held but mistaken belief that the work performed on behalf of the public by district attorneys' offices and public defender offices is unequal and of disparate importance and value.
Thank you. My name is Attorney Angela Ramos, and this is Attorney Bill Sanchez, and we are here obviously to join in Attorney Labar's position and to express our own position on the pay grid. And I will follow Attorney Blum's train of thought there, and that this mistaken belief about our work is evident in the salary grid that is being proposed today. A county's priorities can be seen most clearly by what a county chooses to adequately fund. By proposing a pay grid that places the chief public defender position below that of the first assistant district attorney position, this county signals to our office and to the public that it does not value our work as equal. This perpetuates the shameful lineage of Pennsylvania's devaluing due process and the rights of the accused, and the work of the men and women who diligently represent them. Many of the issues that affect our criminal justice system today, excessive sentences, racial bias, are exacerbated by overwhelmed indigent defense systems. As commissioners, you have the power to create pay parity between the management of prosecutors and public defenders in our county, and that could help achieve transformative change and lend needed credibility to our criminal justice system. As public defenders, our mission extends beyond the individual client and the individual case. Our mission necessarily includes exposing systemic issues and tackling them with the same advocacy that we utilize in the courtroom. Pay parity between the public defender office and the district attorney's office is one such issue. National standards explicitly call for pay parity between defenders and prosecutors. The American Bar Association formally adopted 10 principles of a public defense delivery system, and the 8th such principle is that there should be parity between public defenders and prosecutors with respect to salary, workload, and other resources. Indigent defense and prosecution require broadly similar skills: familiarity with court procedures and practice, expert grasp of pertinent statutes and precedents, and skills in advocacy and negotiation. Because the skill sets are, if not identical, at least equal, there is no justification for large variances in pay between prosecutors and defenders, such as you are suggesting today. The qualifications and duties for these management positions require an attorney to be death penalty certified, have over 10 years of criminal litigation experience, manage multiple assistant public defenders, investigators, support staff, manage their own caseload, assist in mentorship and training of other attorneys, sit on various boards of this county and of the state as representatives of the public defender office, assign cases, determine case management systems, manage budgets, and this list that I've just given you is not even exhaustive. These roles require highly qualified individuals to fill them, and lack of pay parity between the public defender and the district attorney's management will lead to less qualified future applicants in these roles. This can be observed. This isn't a future we have to wait for. This can be observed in the continued vacancy of the deputy chief position since it became available. And finally, pay parity between management positions of the public defender office and district attorney's offices promotes a more balanced and fair justice system. If the district attorney's office is paid significantly more than their public defender counterparts, it demonstrates the county's prioritization of convictions over due process and justice. A well-funded, respected public defender office ensures every individual, regardless of financial status, receives competent legal representation. And it reinforces the principle that is fundamental, that justice should be blind to wealth. Thank you.
Thank you.
We provided a letter that is signed by all of the attorneys in our office for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very eloquently stated. Thank you.
You got it. Well, I might as well say a few things then.
Oh,
So, since it was brought up, I wasn't expecting it to be brought up, at least not in this form, but I was a public defender for about 7 years before I went over to the good side. And became an assistant district attorney and of course elected last year as district attorney. And I think this is maybe just an oversight on the part of the commissioners, because there is parity in pay with the line prosecutors and the assistant public defenders. They're all in the same union. It was started many years ago by a good friend of mine, Ian Germano, who's currently my chief of the appellate division. It was readily accepted by colleagues on both floors, DA and public defender. So it really doesn't make sense for upper management positions of either office to have a lower starting salary than a rank public defender or a rank assistant DA. And I think that's the heart of the issue. Concerning the district's attorney's salary, that's set, as you know, by state law at $1,000 below the judges of the Court of Common Pleas. So that's a little bit beyond your reach, and I understand that. But assistant or chief deputy, as you call it, my first assistant, those are essentially very similar positions. The caveat I make, though, is that the DA's office does prosecute about 50% more cases than the public defender's office, because we also prosecute cases represented by conflict counsel, by private attorneys, that sort of thing, and many pro se defendants. So, but having said that, though, I agree that the core skills required, the core educational requirements, the knowledge are the same. And I really think it's an oversight on these upper management positions coming in so low.
Thank you. Anything else? Proclamations and certificates. Shawnee Fire Company 80th anniversary. See some hauntingly familiar people in the back. Sharon?
Yes, thank you. I asked,
Excuse me. Yes? Can we make them and then make the motion?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
okay, I asked our chair, Commissioner Chair, if I could do this one because I'm going to ask him to stand up as I present a certificate of special recognition to the Shawnee Fire Company because Commissioner Christie is a lifetime member as well. So, Commissioner Christie, if you'd stand up also, and you have our two representatives from the company here, and please. Oh, I should know your name.
Jason Whitcraft.
And
David Whitcraft.
that's a skillful father, son. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where's Grandma?
So today, March 5th, 2025, we had our celebration. I was honored to be able to go to the celebration. What day was that?
The 15th February.
February, right. Over at Shawnee Inn, go figure that one out. Really, it was very nice, very, very, very nice. And so we wanted to make sure we were able to put this in our archives for you. And today we will do that. To celebrate the 80th anniversary of dedication to providing fire and rescue services to neighbors and visitors of Shawnee on Delaware, Minnesink Hills, and surrounding Little Smithfield Township and Smithfield Township areas, we present to you this certificate. Thank you so much for your work and services.
I've known Jason since he was probably junior high school when he was in the fire company also at the same time. And his father was an officer at Shawnee Fire Company, and he was a unique personality. You can see his flag on Main Street. Look for Wild Wit, Whitcraft, and you can see what we were dealing with. Unfortunately,
Stroud photo.
in front of Stroud.
You'll see it there.
And you wonder how Jason survived. But he did call me up on charges one time, and I had to stand at one of our boot drives collecting
In his costume.
in my costume. Thank you.
One thing that I did want to also mention, I did at a dinner, which I think is very important, is we honor our firemen and women. We honor them, but we also made sure that we give a huge shout out to the members of the families that live with these individuals. Because you're looking at 24 hours a day, they're on call too. A little different on call, but they're on call. So we really, anybody here have a relative in the fire company anywhere? Okay. Well, thank you for your time and your service as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tracy.
All right, now we.
Employee Appreciation Day, March 7th. Mr. Gress, could you please present this?
You have up there? Or-
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I did.
Mr. Gress is trying to make us all better human beings, and I think it's appropriate to present this.
Commissioners, through the CGR, on behalf of the county employees, truly appreciate what you do for people of the county. It's truly remarkable. Whereas the first Friday in March of each year has been designated as Employee Appreciation Day in the United States. And whereas in 2025, the first Friday in March falls on March 7th. And whereas the employees of Monroe County are dedicated to providing the highest quality service to the residents of our county. And whereas the employees of Monroe County are committed to making our place of work one of which we all can be proud of. And whereas the Monroe County Commissioners wish to thank the employees of Monroe County for their continued efforts in public service to the residents of the county. Now therefore be resolved, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaim March 7th, 2025 as Monroe County Employees Appreciation Day in Monroe County, and further resolved to thank the dedicated employees for all the work that they do. Signed by the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, Don Christie, Dave Parker, Sharon Laverdor, and attested by myself.
Thank you. We also have Betty Ann Ricci, Middle Smithfield Person of the Year winner. Betty Ann has a breast cancer awareness program that she's been doing for a long time. Marianne Aquito, she was a finalist. She does a bowling program for developmentally challenged people. And Luz Gonzalez, a Middle Smithfield finalist, she does chair yoga both at the library in Middle Smithfield and in here in Stroudsburg. Is there a motion to accept these proclamations and certificates?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. New business.
Quick point of order.
We do old business first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can we approve the minutes of the 2025 Commissioners meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by aye, saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. New business personnel, 1A and B, the agenda, and also to approve and ratify requests for the additional hours in the sheriff. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Well, Go ahead.
Some discussion?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to clarify, have we submitted CPQ for public defender's position?
Never changed. It's the same it's been forever.
No, understood. I'm just trying, I know we met with many people and we're submitting new ones and I'm just trying. So we have not done that. All right. Because I appreciate your statement and what we're doing today, we want to do to get these increases done. But moving forward, there's different things we need to address. We just didn't want to put off the rest of the schedule for that, but so if
We will follow up, of course. So we had a first and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Electronic transfers. Ratification of A, B, C. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Travel authorization, approve and ratify travel request report for adult probation, Area Agency on Aging and Emergency Services. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Area Agency on Aging, execute a lease agreement with Barrett Township for the period of 3/1/25 for 2/28/26 with a monthly rent of $600 to be used as a senior center. Is there a motion, please?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Career Link, appoint Gabrielle Cray to the Pocono County's Workforce Development Board with a term to expire 6/30/27. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Children and Youth, approve adoption assistance agreement for BS. Is there a motion, please?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Commissioner's Office, approve the budget adjustment report dated 3/5/25 of totaling $1,284,140. First of that is $281,586 to pay for the water heater installation at the correctional facility. $615,000 of that, it goes to Northampton County Detention Center to hold 3 beds. Control Center is a pass-through through the county for $312,537. And then the controller for the cost of a new printer of $1,606. Then we also have the correctional facility to cover outstanding invoices for medical contingencies of $42,435. Planning Act 13 to adjust budget for the Keystone Historic Preservation Grant for 2024, expenses of $6,122. Retirement fund of $275 to cover expenses on postage. $2,147 for the sewage treatment to cover plant in Snydersville to cover December invoices. The sheriff, $441 to cover public liability for auto insurance on a 2024 claim. And tax collectors, $21,842 to cover a tax refund due to court appeal settlement for a total of $1,284,140. Next, approve the use of Courthouse Square and Courthouse Plaza for the America 250 PA Founders Day event to be held on April 1st of 2025. Approve the inspection agreement with SSI Fire and Explosive Protection for 2025 annual maintenance of the FIKE equipment located in the CPU room right down the hall in case you want to tour it for amount of $1,442. Approved proposal of Monroe County Municipal Waste Authority, also known as the Waste Authority, for the cleanup of campsites on county-owned property adjacent to Glen Park for a total cost of $18,200. Ratify execution of a memorandum of understanding with the Monroe County Transportation Authority to provide share ride transportation to and from appointments as requested by any individual participating in law enforcement treatment initiative or the LETI for the current share ride structure as shown in the MOU. And finally, to add the following vendors to the county-approved list of vendors. Emergency Management is looking for Giant Lock Box LLC, the Commissioner's Cornerstone Community Initiative, and Aging Christopher Abatello. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion,
Question?
please.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could tell me who this Cornerstone Community Initiative is. I've tried to look them up, have not been able to find any.
Cornerstone Community Initiative is a organization that is starting to get off the ground to help provide people with who are released from the correctional facility on for housing and services so that we can reduce the recidivism. Trust me, it's taken me about 7 months to be able to say that word without tripping over it within the county.
And do you know who they are? I have been unable to find who these people are.
Yes, we know who they are.
Any way to find out who they are? Hello? Is that public information? Mike, still down?
Yeah, I mean, I'll gladly speak with you afterward and give you, I don't have every name in my head. Get it for you.
Is there, who's the CEO, who's on the board? I mean, seems to me that should be public information if you are making them an approved vendor.
We will get that information for you, sir. I don't have it right here on the, okay? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Correctional Facility, approve amendment number 1, the operating agreement with Aramark Correctional Services LLC for update breakfast menu at the price set forth in attachment A of the agreement for the period of 3/1/2025 to 1/1/2026, and approve the FCC order compliance amendment to Securus Technology LLC for the period of 3/8/2025 through 3/8/2026 at the rates per the FCC agreement. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there
Second.
any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Office of Emergency Management, approve submittal of the 2025-2026 Hazardous Material Response Fund in the amount to be determined to pay for the Haz Connect software license for 2026. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Fiscal grants. Ratify approval for grants manager Kwanzaa Smith to electronically sign fiscal year 2025-2026 Raza and Vojo grant contract in the amount of $156,160 for the period of 1/1/25 through 12/31/25, and ratify approval of grants manager Kwanzaa Smith to submit Act 2 Emergency Rental Assistance Program, ERAP, subrecipient project request form to the Department of Human Services to reallocate ERAP 2 remaining funds in the amount of $600,000 from admin to affordable rental housing. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Question,
Sure.
is this for citizens of Monroe County?
Correct.
Yes.
In other words, that $600,000 is being earmarked to go to the Housing Authority to do renovations on units within the Housing Authority.
What's your Monroe County?
But it says emergency rental assistance.
That was what the ERAP program was. We had $600,000 in administrative funding that we could reallocate for other things.
Oh, it's,
This is a result of the COVID where we were able to supplement people's housing.
it's not for citizens from other states moving to Monroe County
No,
to get rental assistance?
not this 600,000, no.
Thank you.
Any questions? Yes,
We had a situation where the local people were having problems paying their taxes and getting gentrified out of the area. And we were told that on Bridge Street, there would be affordable housing. And HUD is federal, not state. So when the apartments went up and they're beautiful, but what I noticed is that the parking lot was full of license plates from New York and New Jersey. So the HUD I don't know how this is different, and I'm sure you guys will cover us, but when we talk about affordable housing, if you're in line for a HUD ticket in another state, and we build these units with the idea that we're going to create affordable housing, we're going to have people flocking here just like before. They're going to go to our schools. And you know, that's great if we have the infrastructure to handle that kind of growth. However, at this point, we don't. So we need to be mindful when we say we want to make all this affordable housing, because with it comes up very easily a HUD ticket. My husband, who passed away, had lived at Shirley Foots Plaza, and this was years ago, and I think he paid $300 a month rent. But to be very honest with you, he paid $500 a month on cigarettes. They smoke right in the complex. People died there of fires. So, you know, let's not go back to enabling.
I understand, but you have to keep in mind that I understand, but Bridge Street was a subsidized housing from the developer's point of view. They have recently removed that, and it's now fair market housing. So there are no subsidies for Bridge Street apartments. So it is not a low income housing situation now. It's fair market. So in other words, the developer changed. Pardon me?
We paid for that, the taxpayer.
No, what happened was the developer came in and was able to market, his or leverage things that he got from the federal government and was able to take that's how they do it.
Or something like that.
There was no LERTA, in my knowledge, for that.
It's a tax credit that the building.
Tax credit that they
Oh,
get.
no, I said it. So, and this is for re-siding, re-roofing and putting windows in the houses over in South Stroudsburg up by Perkins there. So that's what these are, and they can spend the money by September 30th, which is also a requirement of the grant. Otherwise, that money has to go back. So
We have
so
to
this
spend
could be
it.
spent, but they're in need of renovations, and Housing Authority, it does have a waiting list. I think Linda Kaufman said at one meeting we had of 300 people waiting on the list. So there is a need for.
And it was money that we had to spend, so we were able to find a project that was able to do that. All in favor, did we make a motion?
Yeah.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Tax Claim Bureau, execute the agreement with the Sherman Theater to rent the building for June 9th, 2025 at a cost of $700 to hold the 2025 judicial sale. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Transportation Authority reappoint Robert Hay to the MCTA Board with a new term to expire 2/7/2030. Is there a motion, please?
Move.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Capital purchase. Approve the capital purchase report dated 3/5/2025 for $12,652.48. At $12,000, we're purchasing 3 40-foot high cube shipping containers for $6,450 for the emergency management, the sheriff's bulletproof vests for $3,395.85. There's 3 of them. And domestic relations needs a cross-cut shredder for $2,809.63 for a total of $12,652.48. Is there a motion, please?
No.
What?
I'm just looking.
We did Bob Hay, capital purchases, down at the bottom. Yes. 12,000, thank you. Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Computer capital. Approve the computer purchase report dated 3/5/2025 for $1,605.98. This is for the controller needs a LaserJet printer for that amount. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Miscellaneous. Karen?
No.
David?
Well, since we approved the use of space for Founder's Day, I'll give some details on it, but April 1st is the date that Monroe County was founded. And the America 250 Commission is going to be installing the first keystone in a spot near the courthouse. I still have to clear that with the president judge. And then we'll also be having a celebration on that day. We're going to have some food trucks there for folks. We're going to have a presentation about the history of Monroe County and then tours of the new courthouse, because that's one thing that the public has been asking for. I know we had a grand opening, but not many people were aware of it. So we want to,
No one.
it was cold for sure, but hopefully we have good weather on April 1st and can give some tours of the new courthouse to the public.
Any public comment? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Your name, please?
Donald Denell.
Thank you.
I used to live in Punkletown, Eldred Township, 18 years. I moved out of Eldred Township to Carbon County because it was more in my economic sphere at the time. As a school teacher in the Commonwealth for 30 years, school teachers do not get cost of living adjustments. Thus, whatever your pension was when you retired, in my case, 20 years ago, that's what it is today. Most people don't know that. It's terrible in the state of Pennsylvania to be a school teacher, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here for the widowers and the widows of Monroe County who are older than 70 years old. Most of your homes in Monroe County are owned by aged personnel like myself. Your increase of 3 mils in your budget is restricting their economic ability to pay for these taxes at a time in America when we have 4 years of the worst inflation ever. I wish you as a group to modify that millage increase. Now, I realize that the public defender's office is here asking for a raise. I realize the economic pressures, but honestly, ladies and gentlemen, you are pushing it against the wall. You will see an exodus out of Monroe County by people in my age group. And it's shameful, absolutely shameful. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more.
Go ahead.
My family came here in the 1700s, Conrad Kresge. I've lived here my whole life. I grew up on a farm a mile from where I live now. I took care of my kids. They were autistic, 2 of them anyway. And I educated them, and they're well employed at Toby. One's at Toby and Army Depot. Bottom line is they're well employed, okay? And you know that through the years, I show up whenever I can. I have a big family. I worked hard. I worked at the resorts for years in the office. I was the first I was the first female electrician in Monroe County. In 1984, I had to go to work because we couldn't afford to hire somebody. And I worked my ass off. And I'm a widow. I volunteered to help here and at the assistant's office, but I can't volunteer because the union would get mad if I volunteered to help anything. I'd love to go help these guys. I'm knowledgeable, I'm strong. I found myself in a position where I had to sign, my house was worth about $125,000, $150,000 for a lot of years. And after COVID, all of a sudden it's over 400 grand. Well, that's wonderful if I want to sell it. If I am rootless and want to move from place to place to place, that's great that my house is worth that much. But I can't pay the taxes on that. And I had to sign my house over to my son. And the way that I survive now is that I have a room in my own house and I have 3 adult sons living there as well that pay the bills. Now, some people would be humiliated over that. I understand we're up against the wall with how things are going, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys for sitting up there, because what you're getting paid isn't enough for the aggravation that you have to deal with. And I know this one right there in the middle, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and something breaks, he's up. And I know it 24/7. I understand all that, but I'm telling you, for me to stay home, and my only wish and why I'm here and why I go to these meetings is because I hope that my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren can afford to stay here. So when we're talking economics, what's going to keep them here? They graduate, they move away. So thank you for everything you're doing. Please know it's appreciated. But man, this is getting tough. I don't want my son to lose the house.
I understand, and I know it is. And the unfortunate thing is that, you know, the only way that the county is able to raise funds is through real estate taxes. Townships, school districts get real estate funds, but they also get a portion of the earned income tax. I know between my wife and I, we pay easily $2,000 a year of earned income tax to Stroud Township, of which half goes to the school district, half goes to the township. So they have other sources. We have no other sources of income. We might have grants, okay? But when we look at our budget, it is this much compared to this much of grants. We get money from children and youth, but you know, we have expenses for the correctional facility. We have the courts. Every fine that goes to the court, that the courts collects, 95% of it goes to Harrisburg, to AOPC and so on and so forth. We have to pay Mr. Mancuso's office and Mr. Labar's office and all of their support staff and the sheriff's office to make sure that they're safe, and the bailiffs that make sure everybody's, you know, in there, and then everybody else in support services.
What
That's our,
as
you know what? I don't have an answer, or else I'd be on that.
to help you, to help us. There's got to be something.
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Okay. Well, one of the things I'm looking into, we may already be able to do it, but I'm clarifying it, is to offer a rebate for seniors, such as the gentleman mentioned, widows and widowers, who get the rebate already from the state and the school district if their school district does one.
Right.
So I'd like to see what that might look like and how we could fund it to help those folks. But also, Chairman Christie mentioned the income tax, and I have talked to our representative and senator. They each serve on local government committees. And they're looking into legislation to allow us to do that, to offset property tax. I'd love to, if we could do a 1% and offset property tax, that might be helpful for those folks as well, because they're not making earned income, but the people that are working are. And so
The other thing you have to understand is the common level ratio.
Understand.
Okay, but currently the common level ratio is at 50.2%. It's, yes, in other words, the value of a property, 51%, 50.1%. Sister,
I'm not here to bust.
no, but I understand, but it's going down to 45.
Is it?
So in other words, the value of properties, okay, they figured it at 45% of what we value it at.
I got you.
So, you know, we have appeals constantly, and thus that's why we're going to have to go to a new reassessment, because you just can't keep going like this.
Can I say something?
Please.
The thing that I think is very important for the public to understand as well is just like when we have our own personal finances and we, you know, kind of budget everything, you can't wait 12 years to offset taxes
You're right.
in order for things to stay in line. So, and that's what happened. So we have to really look at that as a community and take little baby steps along the way, so it doesn't impact people like it is at this particular point.
We're paying for past.
Pardon me?
We're paying for like the past of not doing what we needed to do then.
That's
I understand.
correct.
Well, when you have a budget surplus, people will say, give it back to us. Is there anything else? Yes, Nick?
I'll make, back here. Thank you. Just kind of commenting on what the gentleman in the back was talking about. Firstly, thank you for your service as a teacher. You guys don't get enough credit. You know, you're going to hear electeds. We're going to be talking about pay. We understand there's just pressure within the county. We're not coming up here just saying we just want more pay just because we're facing staffing issues.
Mhm.
You know, I was elected to do my job. The recorder, DA, we have to do our job to the people. And if we don't have the staff, and the glaring issue is pay, we can't do our job. And if any of these offices close down, the public's going to feel it. We're just trying to come up with a solution with the commissioners on this, because we got to find some middle ground. The one thing we are facing that I'm going to be talking about later today is that cliff of the pension. That correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 15 years we didn't have a COLA increase until this year. So what am I supposed to tell young people if, hey, you're getting into law enforcement, it comes with a pension benefits, but hey, when you're done at 15 years, your pay's frozen, your pension's frozen, it's all you're going to make. You know, are they going to come here? Or are they going to go to state police or Stroud or Pocono Mountain Regional? Where they
That is true for state police,
Yeah.
nurses, firefighters,
teachers in the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we're just trying to come up with some kind of solution when it comes to that for the longevity of the county to really just do our jobs and staff our offices.
Jacobson.
Jake Smith. I just have to comment on the tax issue. Stroudsburg School Board for 18 years. In that 18 years, 4 years of board president in the last 4 years. I understand taxes. Every year we have to adopt a budget and it's around $134 million. I've negotiated contracts for the last 18 years with teachers, support staff, or administration. On the flip side of that, as a police officer, retired, I negotiated contracts with the police department. So no one gets more complaints than a school board when it comes to raising taxes, because majority of your taxes and what kicks you guys in the gut every year, including myself, grew up on a dairy farm, 350 acres in Scioto, 5 generations, 43 relatives out there. I worry about the taxes. However, it's the school tax is what's killing me.
Yeah.
It's not the county tax. I gotta be honest with you. They're probably below what they really should be. If you look at your county employees and what they make, less than half than a police officer, less than half than a teacher. Probably a third what a state trooper. My son's a state trooper. They're not out of whack on what they're, I just got my bill is $1,600. To me, the services we get, that's really not your problem. If anything, the only mistake that I think they made is they should have been raising them all along and so forth, like we do in schools in small amounts. You don't notice it. The only reason you're noticing it is because of that large gap all at once. If it raised $5, $10, you wouldn't even know they raised the taxes. It would be where I really believe it's where it should be. So, and they don't get post-medical when they leave. Teachers get post-medical. Police officers get post-medical. State police get post-medical for their spouse. And
Teachers do not get post.
okay, Stroudsburg gets post-medical, I'm sorry. So after 25 years, yes. And I believe the rest of the Monroe County schools do. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure on that when we negotiate contracts, we compare it to other schools in the IU. But no, I feel you. But just had to get that off my chest.
Thank you.
It really is your school tax.
Anything else?
Thank you.
I just want to piggyback on Jake's. Talk to your state rep and your senator on the school tax. That's how we.
And I just want to add one thing, and we've been battling this for 18 years. Monroe County gets about 20 to 22% back from the state in the school tax. And when you hear other people go, oh, my tax is out in Mifflinburg or Bloomsburg, we only pay, I pay $9,000 in school tax per year. My brother-in-law lives in Mifflinburg, he pays $2,000. That's because the state is giving them up to 50%, 40, 50%. We've been battling trying to get fair funding. And all Monroe County schools, it's not fair. And we keep losing. And the reason we lose, our state reps go to bat for us. However, if you're a state rep in Mifflinburg and your taxes are $2,000 and it comes to that big vote, they're not going to vote to raise their taxes out there because that's suicide for your political career. So we are stuck. And until we keep fighting, we took buses down there. We got close a couple of times. And if we had another 20%, 25%, same funding as what they're getting, we would lower the taxes. We could take the millage and drop it. Until that happens, we're stuck.
You do realize there's a downside, correct? The downside is when you increase 3 mills in one jump, you are putting such pressure on people that were getting by months to month that they're going to say, okay, I've had it. I'm leaving Monroe County.
Understood.
A lot of houses are going to come up for sale at a time when interest rates are comparatively high on mortgages as well. Nick knows that. And as a result, it's a huge problem for Monroe.
We know that. We know that. And that's why we battle every year to try to do something for the school tax.
Well, try and do something there.
I have for 18 years. but it's still the people. It's the
We
voice of the
could
people.
easily
Only
say
Howard Spring
anybody
get that
over 70 years old that's on fixed income, we're not gonna raise it 3 mils.
I just want to clarify, the county mill rate went up 1.5 mils. Just 1.5. There were other, if you had a township or a borough that changed, they may have.
It said 3 mils in the newspaper.
37%. Incorrect. 1.5 mils.
Anything else?
We heard that social media is killing you guys now.
Sure.
You are the
Hey, we-
most unpopular people
It's okay.
on the face of the earth.
Don't follow social media.
No, we have to
Well,
educate
you listen to the criticisms from the various groups on Facebook, and by groups, I'm saying communities, you would be shocked. Gentlemen, on every word that you say.
I know they don't want me to respond, sir, and I'm sorry I cut you off, but in my humble opinion, take this for what it's worth. Social media is the potential downfall of American society as we know it.
Amen.
And for you to even buy into that, sir, at your age, I'm sorry. I would steer you away from social media
I will
as much
admit
as I
that
could,
it
sir.
has its downsides, but when it comes to taxes, there's a lot of truth out there.
We have to educate the people.
All right. Is there anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are. Those of, yes.
Oh, I can't, after, Janet Gooder from Polk Township. I'm sorry, I don't know if I,
You're
do
not here for election board, are you, Janet?
you want me to wait till March?
No, because that's canceled.
See you.
Okay.
No, I was gonna ask a question about 9A, but it's kind of minor now compared to everyone else's. So, can I just say, there's two things about the school stuff though, and back, Chuck Gould did put up on the Chesterfield Township, on one of our terrible Facebook pages, if you want to call it. There is some truth in the social media. Chuck Gould did take the time on Pleasant Valley Community page to explain the tax breakdown. So you can go to his explanation for Chesterfield Township. He did clarify it. And I think where you're getting the 3 mils is possibly it's the percentage that it went up that looks bad, but it is the mills is 1.5. But to all your for the school district and from what's going on in our school district with our school taxes, it is a painful place. And I thought we came a little bit closer with the fair funding in this current state budget cycle. Some school districts did receive more money back from the state, others did not, because we already are receiving per capita great amounts from from the state to the school district. You need to go, and this is what I always will put on those terrible Facebook pages, is people need to come to the meetings. Go to your local, you've got good supervisors, well, Elbert has good supervisors who will listen. Go to Polk Township. They'll tell you things. You gotta go to the meetings and it takes time. Takes time away from families, but it is our best way to get out and go to meetings because the people that sit behind that side of the table have to make tough decisions. And I feel your pain. My husband's pension never goes up. If anything, it goes down when they raise the medical. And he was employed by a very good corporation. So not all pensions do go up because some of that's a bit of a gamble. But we all feel the pain. Taxes are killing not just Monroe County, but they're killing a lot of places. But thank you for speaking up because that's the best that we can do now is to speak up because there were very good conversations in this meeting. And I appreciate that the commissioners allowed this much conversation
Absolutely.
to go forth.
Anything else?
I missed the beginning of the meeting, so I wasn't aware if we approved that new pay scale thing, or is that
It hasn't happened yet.
salary board? So I just want to mirror, I missed a lot of what Mr. LeVar said. I walked in and what Mr. Mancuso was saying. The correctional facility is facing the same problem Mr. LeVar's office is, where line staff are making more than supervisory staff. So we have the same issue out there. I spoke to you guys about it before. I guess I'll see what happens in that salary board meeting, because currently we're 2 sergeants down, we're a lieutenant down, we're gonna be a warden down, a deputy warden down. Senior staff that have the experience to run that place are not gonna take promotions, because if I take a promotion to a sergeant under your new pay scale, it's a $5.04 an hour pay cut for me to move up a rank. And then if I move up to a lieutenant, it's another step down. That makes 0 sense, and that's not even counting the pay raise that we just negotiated for union officers. That's my current pay scale.
Well, the thing is that, just so you know, and everybody else here knows, is that this is not a perfect document that we're presenting at 11 o'clock. We know that there has to be some changes to it, and we are open to those changes, but we feel as if we have to move something forward, and that's what we're going to do at 11. Is there anything else? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? We are. Thank you.
Okay.
That's what I'm asking.